So, John Chayka. Let's talk about him. Let's go! It starts with an A and ends with anxiety. Off the charts levels of passion. This is a nightmare. With you wherever you are. Welcome to LFR. At the time I am shooting this video, John Chayka has not been officially named anything with the Leafs. President or GM or who knows. But the fact that Chayka is getting hired to the Leafs front office appears to be the worst kept secret in all of sports. It was reported today that a Leafs press conference could happen as soon as Monday. We don't know that for sure. And there's an unbelievable amount of noise with John Chayka. A lot. And a lot of people have a lot of things to say. There's a lot of the shady stuff, getting fined draft picks and when he left for the Devils and needing to get reinstated. Let's cut through all that. If you like trade tree videos, you'll like this. We're going to do a deep dive on John Chayka's time as a GM in the NHL. But first, this video is brought to you by Aura Frames. Did you know that it's Mother's Day soon? Like very soon? Well, Aura Frames is way better than your usual Mother's Day flowers. And I've bought flowers before, but I realized it's not personal and they last like 3 days. The mums in your life deserve something that will last a lifetime. Like the best-selling Carver matte frame. Hi, Max. Share photos and videos effortlessly. Download the free Aura app and send photos and videos straight to your frame. Free unlimited storage so you can share as many videos and photos as you want. And you can personalize the gift by adding a special message before it arrives. Named #1 by Wirecutter, you can save on the gifts moms love by visiting auraframes.com. And for a limited time, get $25 off their best-selling Carver matte frame using the code Dangle. That's AURA frames.com using the promo code Dangle. DANGLE. And support the channel by mentioning me at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Now, let's get back to the breakdown. I don't know why this feels important for me to say, but John Chayka played hockey. Like, there are a lot of legitimate criticisms and skepticisms you can have about John Chayka, but the narrative has swung so violently in the direction of this guy just runs Wendy's that I feel the need to mention he played hockey. It's on his EliteProspects.com page. He played in the GHL, the MJAHL, the BCHL, and OJHL. Like, that's junior A. Like, people get drafted out of those leagues. What's depressing for me is realizing that he played for these teams when I covered these teams. His time in the BCHL and the OJHL were just a cup of coffee, but he made it, and that's higher than most of us can say. So he might be a nerd, but he's not just some nerd. To say John Chayka's rise to the NHL world was meteoric would be an understatement. In 15-16, when this guy was 25, he became assistant GM of the Coyotes, and just a year later, in May of 2016, he became the GM. He was the GM from May 5th, 2016 to July 26th, 2020, right before the COVID bubble playoffs. So here's what we're going to look at. All the trades that the Coyotes made under John Chayka from May 5th, 2016 until he left the organization in July of 2020. We're also going to look at the drafts that Chayka was a part of with the Arizona Coyotes, which would be 2016, 17, 18, and 19, not 2020, because that draft in 2020, you might remember, wasn't until October. By October, he had already left his position with the Coyotes. Now, here's the thing. Chayka's first draft in 2016 with the Arizona Coyotes as general manager was fantastic. He found a way to get the 7th and 16th overall picks. We'll get to that in a minute. And with the 7th and 16th picks, he drafted Clayton Keller at 7 and Jakob Chychrun at 16. That's unbelievable. Even more unbelievable is the pick right before Clayton Keller was Filip Zadina. The eyes are playing. Still working. So wait, how did the Coyotes get the 7th and the 16th pick? Well, the 7th pick was theirs. The 16th pick, once again, the eyes are playing, they got from Detroit. Detroit went into the 2016 draft with the 6th and 16th overall picks. They left with the 6th and the 20th overall picks, Filip Zadina and Dennis Cholowski. Arizona did a bit better. So Detroit sent the 16th overall pick, who ended up being Jakob Chychrun, and Pavel Datsyuk's contract to the Arizona Coyotes. Going the other way, the Arizona Coyotes traded Joe Vitale, a first-round pick, 20th overall, that was Dennis Cholowski, and a second-round pick, who ended up becoming Filip Hronek. That's a very good pick by Detroit. See? It's like a trade tree. I thought you'd like it. So, John Chayka's great at drafting, right? He got Clayton Keller, Jakob Chychrun, same draft. I've seen some people say that. Here's the problem. Chayka, who was AGM the season before, became GM of the Coyotes 51 days before that draft. How involved was he in making those picks? How involved in the scouting? How involved in the research was he in those picks? He made the trade that got them the 16th overall pick, and that ended up being a very good trade for them. Was that all him? I mean, he was with the team, even though he wasn't GM the year before. Not even the year before. Earlier that season, I should say. Here's the problem. We don't know exactly how much of the 2016 draft John Chayka is responsible for because he just got there. Like when Brad Treliving joined the Leafs a few years ago and he wasn't even allowed to be on the draft floor for the first round. Treliving joined the Leafs front office mere weeks before the draft in 2023. How involved was he in that draft? Or was that just the amateur scouts who had been there the whole time, being led by the executives that had also been there the whole time? Using that as a comparison, how involved was Chayka in all the 2016 decisions? We don't know. Here's the other problem. 2016 was far and away Chayka's best draft with the Coyotes, and every draft after that was not good. In 2017, the Coyotes had the 23rd overall pick. They used that pick to select Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Now, when you look back, 2017, deeper in the first round, was not a great draft, but P.O. Joseph, Jake Ottinger was picked 26th. And if you want to be a stickler, because the Stars did amazing at this draft, Dallas got Jason Robertson at 39. Either way, Pierre-Olivier Joseph, The rest of the draft picks used in 2017 combined played one NHL game for the Arizona Coyotes. A few of them played for other teams, but one game for the Arizona Coyotes. 2018. This is a big one. 5th overall pick. Who did Arizona pick? Do you remember? I'll give you a second. Barrett Hayton. Now, Barrett Hayton is not a bad hockey player. He's an NHL player. He scored double-digit goals 4 times. He's hit 40 points or more twice. He had 20 goals once. This past season wasn't very good, but But dude, that's the 5th overall pick. Was it a bad draft? Well, not if you wanted Quinn Hughes with the 7th overall pick, or Evan Bouchard with the 10th overall pick, or Noah Dobson with the 12th overall pick. And Barrett Hayton, that wasn't one of those picks where it's like, yeah, but that's who everyone thought was going 5 at the time. No, it wasn't. That was a stretch at the time in 2018, and it's turned out to be an ugly one. Now, we did get Kevin Ball at 55th overall. Kevin Ball was used as part of the Taylor Hall trade package. We'll get to that later. And he did get Ty Emberson at 65th overall, and he's an NHL player. Oilers used him in the playoffs, but he didn't play a single game for the Arizona Coyotes. 2019, this one might somehow be even worse than 2018. The Coyotes picked 11th overall. You should be able to get a very good player at 11th overall. And at 11th overall, the Arizona Coyotes select Victor Soderstrom. This right-handed defenseman had 30 points in 57 games this season in the AHL for the Providence Bruins, because he's not part of the Coyotes anymore. Played 8 games in the NHL, had an assist, 11 career points with the Arizona Coyotes at 11th overall. It's kind of great. The 12th overall pick was Matt Boldy. 13th overall was Spencer Knight. 15th overall, Cole Caulfield. Making it even worse, the Arizona Coyotes and John Chayka moved up to 11. They had the 14th overall pick, but they made a deal with the Flyers to move up 3 picks. With the 14th overall pick, the Flyers selected Cam York, who just scored a series-winning goal for them. And the 45th overall pick the Flyers got, they used as part of a package to move up to 34, where they got Bobby Brink, who they just sold to Minnesota at the deadline and made the playoffs anyway. That was a real good trade for the Flyers. They could have had Cole Caulfield, but it's still pretty good. At pick 76 that year, the Coyotes got a guy named John Farinacci. At pick 79, it was Pavel Dorofeyev, who just got a hat trick in the playoffs for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, the Coyotes did get Matias Maccelli at 98th overall. And Maccelli, for all the good and all the bad, that's a pretty good player to be able to get at 98th overall. He's had some productive seasons. He's a pretty decent player. He's got some flaws, but at 98th overall, he's played nearly 300 NHL games. That's pretty good. And I've seen people be like, yeah, dude, it's the NHL. You need lots of those. You can't just get one gem every now and then and hope to be successful. The Dallas Stars make these kind of picks like every year, and they just got knocked out in the first round. And that's it, because Chayka wasn't with the Coyotes for the 2020 draft. So If you ask me, looking at the draft record, 2016 was the peak. That was his first one. We're not sure. Let's give him full credit for it, okay? Let's just make it easy. Give him full credit for it. That's the peak. And it got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse. Not good. Like, people are talking about, well, he was really young when he got the job, and now he's older and hopefully better. You know what? Maybe you're right. But getting older while on the job did not make John Chayka better. So let's, in no particular order, look at some of John Chayka's trades while with the Coyotes. Some of these are pretty good. A lot of them aren't. Most of them are just mid. He traded the 37th overall pick for a rookie, Tony DeAngelo, who was pretty controversial back then. Still is. After one season, he traded him. He traded Tony DeAngelo and a first-round pick for Antti Ranta and Derek Stepan. To be fair, Antti Ranta had 4 good seasons with the Arizona Coyotes. He was good for all 4 seasons. Didn't make it to 20 games very often on account of Antti Ranta. But when he was healthy and in the net, he stopped the puck. Derek Stepan had one good 58-point season, and then age caught up with him. Ooh, geez. Steve, what did you say the cost was? Tony DeAngelo in a first? Yeah. What if I told you the first was 7th overall? Now, the reason you probably don't hear very much about that is that pick ended up becoming Lias Andersson, who was a bust. But after that pick in the first round featured names like Casey Middlestat, Owen Tippett, Marty Necas, Nick Suzuki, Robert Thomas. I think any one of those guys would have been better than having Antti Ranta and Derek Stepan. This next one is a common thread of John Chayka's tenure with the Coyotes, because let's face it, the Coyotes were a joke. There's a reason the Coyotes aren't here anymore, and it's the Utah Mammoth, who aren't a joke. The Coyotes were a joke, and they acquired many players who didn't ever play for them on account of they were ghost contracts. We've already talked about one, longtime Coyotes great Pavel Datsyuk. Remember longtime Coyotes great Dave Bolland? This trade was actually pretty good for them. For the low cost of a second and a third round pick, the Arizona Coyotes acquired Dave Bolland and Lawson Krause. Dude, Lawson Krause is still there. Well, no one's still there. He's in Utah, though. 259 points in 666 career NHL games, all with the Coyotes Hockey Club Mammoth organization. And he just came off a brief but very good playoff with 5 points in 6 games. And he beats people up. I'll call that a good trade. I think that was a good trade. Now, this one's a bit of a trade tree. The Coyotes made a deal with the Minnesota Wild where the Coyotes dealt Martin Hanzal, Ryan White, and a 4th for the 23rd overall pick in the first round, a 2nd, and a 4th. The 23rd overall pick turned into Pierre-Olivier Joseph, who we've already talked about. The 2nd round pick turned into Kevin Ball, who we've already talked about. Both those players were moved out to get better, older, veteran scoring players. Skipping ahead on the timeline, Kevin Ball was involved in the Taylor Hall deal to Arizona, which you probably forgot Taylor Hall was ever in Arizona. He might have too. They got Taylor Hall and Blake Spears for the cost of, this is a ton of prospects at the time, Kevin Ball, Nate Schnarr, Nick Merkley, the 18th overall pick who turned into Dawson Mercer, and a 3rd in 2021. This was, unfortunately, the 2019-20 COVID-shortened season where Taylor Hall, not far removed from a Hart Trophy win, which you also might have forgot about, he played 35 regular season games for the Coyotes. And then another 9 in the bubble playoffs. And that's it. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, on the other hand, was packaged with Alex Galchenyuk, there's another guy whose name is going to come up again later, for Phil Kessel. Like, very old, the Penguins were done with him, Phil Kessel. And he played there, and he didn't do very much, and the Coyotes didn't do very much, and you just gave up what? To me, that's one of those trades where, like, yeah, you won it, but what was the point? You won the trade. Did you win games, though? No, they didn't. Mike Smith was a good goalie for the Coyotes for a long time. Mike Smith was traded for Brandon Hickey, Franklin Townley, Chad Johnson, and a conditional 3rd-round pick in 2018. Is that a good return? I don't know. You tell me. I made one of those names up. Can you tell me which one? That's not a joke. I said 3 names. I made one up. Guess which one. Don't cheat, don't look, guess. Laurent Dauphin and Connor Murphy traded to the Chicago Blackhawks for the back 9 of Nicholas Hjalmarsson. That was not a good trade for the Coyotes at all. Connor Murphy played for the Blackhawks for a very long time, and then they got a handsome package for him this year. That's pretty good for the Blackhawks. Now, pay attention. This one's good. The Coyotes traded a 5th-round pick for early career Scott Wedgwood, who had a lot of hype and then sort of faded into obscurity for a while before going to Colorado. Well, Wedgwood was then packaged with Tobias Reeder, remember him, for Darcy Kemper. Kemper was very good for the Coyotes, so good that the Colorado Avalanche paid a lot for him, and then they won the cup with him. Did John Chayka make the trade that sent Darcy Kemper out of town? No, he had already left. But he acquired the asset. Traded Anthony Duclair and Clendenning for Panik and Dauphin. Not great. Traded Max Domi, who was several years younger than Alex Galchenyuk, for Alex Galchenyuk. So, we know John Chayka will trade Max Domi if he wants to, I guess. Now, this trade looked awful at the time. Galchenyuk was coming off of 30 goals. Very aggressively, never hit that again. Max Domi then went to Montreal and had 72 points. He acquired Marian Hossa's dead cap contract deal in a 9-piece nothing burger of a trade. Now this one, pretty good. He got Nick Schmaltz, who is very good for Utah and just signed a very lucrative deal for Brennan Perlini and Dylan Strome. Now Dylan Strome ended up becoming a very good player. Both these guys were kind of late bloomers, but Nick Schmaltz, good deal. And you might be like, wow, Chayka's got his fingerprints all over how good Utah is now because of all those draft picks he acquired. Most of the draft picks in the crazy windfall of draft picks that the Coyotes got at the end when they were just a disgrace. Remember, when they were just a disgrace, they were trading everything that wasn't nailed down for picks. They had an absurd amount of picks for a while. That wasn't really under Chayka. All these trades that I have on the screen right now, they got a conditional third, a conditional second, a conditional second. They got a second, they got a 7th, they got a 2nd, they got a 7th again, they got a 1st, they got a 2nd, a 7th. All these picks, that's all post-Chayka. It's funny, if you go to any of the websites that keep track of all the trades that a GM made, like if you go to Puckpedia or you go to NHLTradeTracker.com, it's John Chayka resigns, and then 2021, when they start making trades again, holy smokes, all the picks they acquire. It's crazy. So, all that to say, has John Chayka made some good draft picks? Sure. Has John Chayka made some good trades? Sure. He's also made some pretty bad picks. He's also made some pretty bad trades. Like, he signed Oliver Ekman-Larsson to a contract that paid him $8.25 million, and Ekman-Larsson immediately declined after signing that thing. And you might be like, yeah, but he was able to get out from under that contract by trading it to the Canucks, and the Canucks lost that deal, and the Coyotes won it. That is true that the Coyotes won that deal, and the Canucks lost because they ended up buying out OEL. Chayka didn't make that trade. Nope. He signed the deal, resigned, it went bad. Whoever was left had to clean up the mess. The best draft this guy had with Arizona came 51 days after he got the top job. Every draft after that got worse. I talked about a lot of trades on this video, and I don't think I even got through half of them. This guy will make trades. Like, Brad Treliving made nothing. This guy, when he was in Arizona, so he has itchy thumbs. He will text you. He will try to make a deal. A lot of them are nothing burgers, but he's active. Has he learned since his experience with the Coyotes? Probably. But here's what I'm seeing a lot of people doing. Oh, he was hired when he was 26, and now he's 36 or 37 or whatever he is. Yeah, but you're acting like he was 26 the whole time. He was 26 when he accepted the job. By the time he left the Coyotes, he was in his 30s. Listen, I have a lot of questions about this guy. I do. And the fact that he's supposedly going to get the Leafs' top job. And there's a lot being made about, oh, no one likes him, or, oh, the analytics crowd doesn't trust him, or the old hockey crowd doesn't trust him, or what was it that happened with the Devils that got him banished from the league, or what was it that happened with the Coyotes that got them stripped of draft picks, and what's this story about he had all these monitors in his office that weren't even hooked up to computers? What's up with the fact that he owns a bunch of Wendy's, and he owns an analytics company, and is it all just snake oil? Let's focus on the facts. Let's focus on his hockey resume, and giving my opinion on everything that I just told you, I don't think it's that good. Go look it up on Puckpedia or NHL Trade Tracker yourself. It's not great. HockeyDB works too. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like to. Tell your friends what a silly, ridiculous week this is going to probably be. But we don't know. But probably. Unless I don't understand this team anymore.